Happy Tuesday, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Tech Tuesday. My name is Dr. Haifa Maamar. I'm the Director of Emerging Technologies here at Full Sail University. And today we are streaming live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So as we continue talking about how AI or artificial intelligence is impacting different fields, with the evolution and revolution of artificial intelligence, I thought of talking about how AI is impacting the cybersecurity field and what that means in the cybersecurity realm. We're witnessing a profound transformation in the cybersecurity field, and we're seeing both the use of AI from the threats and from also the defense approaches, so both ways. And today I have these amazing panelists with me who will be going more in details about how AI can be used to stop these threats and attacks and cyber attacks, and how actually sometimes it can be used in a different way as well. So I have first James McQuiggan, who is the security awareness advocate with KnowBe4. And I have Quentin Sanders, who is the AWS cloud engineer with the FBI. So welcome, gentlemen, and thank you for being with us today on Tech Tuesday. I really appreciate your time and your willingness to help talk about this to our audience. So first question for me, I would say, is that I would like for you to talk about yourself, introduce yourself to our audience, and talk about kind of quickly about your journey and how you are working in the cybersecurity field specifically, especially that today we're talking about cybersecurity and AI. So James, I'm going to start with you.
Great. Thank you very much. Real excited to be here and talk to all of you, and thanks to Full Sail with regards to putting on this Tech Talk. So my name is James McQuiggan. I'm a security awareness advocate over at KnowBe4. I've been a part of that KnowBe4 family now for the last 4 years. Prior to that, I spent 18 years working for a little German company called Siemens. Basically cut my teeth on everything from database administration, programming, networking, network security, configuration, VPNs, to doing security awareness programs, incident response, product security. And now for the last 4 years being at KnowBe4, I basically, KnowBe4 is a security awareness and phishing simulation company, new school security awareness training. And my role is to go out and talk about cybersecurity, promote cybersecurity overall, whether that's at conferences, webinars like these, blogs, or the podcast Security Masterminds that I produce as well. I'm also here in the community. I'm a college professor over at Valencia College, and I am the chapter president for the ISC2 Central Florida chapter. Again, real excited to be here. Looking forward to the conversation.
Well, it's really an honor to have you with us today, James. I really, again, appreciate your time and your willingness to be on the panel and talk about this. Quentin, hi. Welcome home. Welcome to Full Sail. Can you introduce yourself, please, Quentin? Quentin, we cannot hear you.
Oops. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
So my name is Quentin Sanders. I am actually a Full Sail grad of 2020, and I have been working ever since I graduated. Started with Deloitte, and I was attached to the NCUA project, the National Credit Union Administration. I was the applications engineer there. I spent almost 2 years there. After that, I went to Lockheed Martin Space. I was a DevSecOps engineer there. I was there for about 9 months, and I recently just took a job working at the FBI, where I am currently a cloud engineer there, specifically focused in AWS. My role in cybersecurity, I do handle a lot of our scans on our network. So what that means is I scan the whole entire environment. I submit the scans to our security engineer. We go over the scans and we kind of throw together a plan to figure out, okay, how do we want to go about solving the issues. Are these actual issues? Because we do a lot of our customizations in our environment ourselves. So sometimes these are false findings, if you will. And so any issues that we do find, we create tickets for and go about getting them fixed. Any false findings, we just submit why they're false and kind of carry on. So that's kind of what I've been doing in the past 3 years, going to Full
Amazing.
Sail.
Amazing. Well, thank you for being with us today, Quentin. And I'm really looking forward to our episode today and hearing some of your answers and how you guys are approaching the cybersecurity in your words. So first, before we go into talking how AI has been revolutionizing the cybersecurity field and how is it creating an AI-powered future for cybersecurity, I want first to go start where sometimes maybe some of our audience really don't understand the importance of cybersecurity in our world today. So I want you, James, to start by, since you are also an instructor, so you have that ability to really, explain things easier to our audience. So I want you to go over what is cybersecurity and how is it important in today's digital world, please.
Definitely. Yeah. So when it comes to cybersecurity, the easiest way that I can explain it is cybersecurity, like any kind of security, is all about reducing risk, of an attack on our organizations being exploited due to a vulnerability by the cyber criminals that are out there. The easiest way for me to explain it is think of your own homes, think of where you live, and you have a front door that's got a key, or maybe you've got one of those fancy key codes. You've got windows that you need to protect, so you lock those. You've got, within your home, you may keep things that are really valuable in a lockbox inside of the closet. So you're basically behind doors, maybe even behind another locked door. So you're doing different things so that you can securely protect things that are important to you. And so when we talk about cybersecurity, your organization is that home. And so there are certain things that we're going to do. When you come home, you might have a garage door opener, right? So you can open up the garage door and come into the house. Then you have a key or maybe a punch code that you're going to enter in. With your organization, you might have a badge that's going to let you in the front door for the organization. When you're logging into your computer, you're going to have a username and a password that's giving you that next level of access. And so when we start looking at cybersecurity, we're talking about access controls. We're talking about ways to be able to protect data. And so all of this bases off of what we call the CIA triad. Nothing to do with the government whatsoever, but it stands for confidentiality, integrity, and availability. And that's pretty well the core of when it comes to cybersecurity. Everything that we're going to do revolves around confidentiality, making sure that only the necessary people have access to it. The integrity, making sure the data doesn't get manipulated. And then availability, making sure the data is readily available, because either through backups, but when we go to use it, that it's actually there. So the three of them all work together to help us reduce that risk of a cyber attack. We can never be 100% secure. If anybody ever tells you that, then they're either selling you something or they may be a bit confused. But basically, it's all about reducing risk so that we can protect our organization, our data, and ourselves as well.
Well, thank you for that explanation, and thank you for...
I was going to say, I got it done in less than 5 minutes.
Well, thank you for doing that. Thank you so much, James. So since we're talking about threats, Quentin, I will start with you first. If you can talk about some of the current trends related to cyber threats or cyber attacks, just give me an example of how, what kind of cyber attacks we're dealing with, maybe from your work, if you can share.
There we go, unmute. So one of the things that I see a lot is I also work and help the fraud department out because we obviously support their systems. And one of the things that they report on a lot is the fact that we're seeing a lot of resumes on different websites like LinkedIn and Indeed, are being targeted now by criminals because people put a lot of information on resumes and don't realize that you're just giving this information out, for free. Your name, your your address, your phone number, things you don't really think about that could be used against you, but they can. But the biggest one is your email address. And the reason why is because your email address, you may only have, let's say if you have a job, you may have your work email, then you have your personal email. So you have two emails right there. But your personal email is attached to your bank accounts, your credit cards, you got a credit karma, all that stuff is just linked to your personal identity. So all your PII is attached to your email address. If I can get a hold of your email address, I have your entire identity right there in my hand. And that's very
Oh,
valuable
wow.
information out there on the web. So one of the things that we're trying to mitigate is telling companies, hey, when you are, you know, trying to help people get a job, educate them on the importance of maybe not having their resume public for everyone to see because they're putting everything on there from where they worked at, where they currently live, their original phone numbers. You get all those spam calls, probably why, right? It's just out there for everybody to see. And
Mhm.
so trying to, educate the user first, like, hey, don't put everything on your resume. You don't need to be on there. If you want your email on there, use one specifically for getting a job. If you want your phone number so they can contact you immediately, use a Google number, use something different. Don't use your actual personal number because once you're done with that Google number, it can just go away, right? They don't have your actual direct line of contact to you. Educating the user on all these things, I think it's very important to mitigate any, type of issue that you would have being personally attacked by just trying to do something basic as get a job, right? So that's something I am seeing a huge trend on, and what we're actually there's a conference next week here in DC where I know this is going to be a big topic of discussion is how do we relate to people, it's something so basic as getting a job, but you have to put the stuff on there that they feel like, but how can we say to not put your personal stuff on there and sign up for a Google address and sign up for a different email because now they got to memorize another username and password, another phone number they got to keep up with, and setting all that up. Most people don't want to deal with all those things. They just want to apply and start working at places. And so, how do we get that user experience better and try to help the actual user out to have a better experience? Just trying to get a job. So that's one of the bigger trends right now we're seeing in the FBI space and the
So,
fraud department specifically.
Quentin, don't you think that actually organizations like LinkedIn and Indeed should help with this? Because, for me, as you're talking, I'm questioning everything that I've been doing so far, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I have one email and, and like that's a one main email, but I understand from someone who is looking for a job, they're really I'm not going to say they're desperate, but there is a real need there for they want to put their information there because they want to be accessible. So I feel that those platforms, they should have some kind of a responsibility there where they are supposed, before the person creates a profile, like kind of a message, again, reminding them maybe create an email specific to this, or maybe they have a way of how they can hide some kind of information just to protect the user. So it's not only on the users because, yes, I understand we're trying to educate, but we're dealing with everyone who's trying to look for a job versus like it's a kind of a standard. How to say it, like practice maybe from those platforms to protect the users. I don't know what your take on this.
No, you're 100% correct. And you're seeing it now where some companies are starting to implement that in where, if you have an iPhone, you probably maybe if you use the Apple email and you make it a message and hide your email when you try to, sign up for something. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not specifically using your email address, it's using, whatever at some random domain, but it's forwarded to your email address. You're starting to see that trend happening now. The thing we want to see more of is more companies, start using these technologies to, also help the user out, in certain other spaces as well. So I feel like it's going to start becoming the norm. It's just not getting there yet. And especially because we're seeing, just over the past, I've only been in the FBI for 3 months now. And my 3 months there, it's still the same amount of data we receive where people are complaining about, their issues on, with their resumes and stuff like that. So hopefully soon there will be, someone, will at one of these companies like LinkedIn or Indeed or whatever will implement one of these strategies to help the user, when they first sign up to, hey, create this, or just click this box here. We'll do all that for you. We already have the tools built. Just say hide my email or hide my phone number, but you will still be forwarded the information you need from the recruiter or from whoever you're applying to that will be able to get in touch with you directly. These tools are out there. They just need to be implemented so the user can have access to them, I believe.
Okay, thank you. James, how about you? What are some of do you have an example to share with us about a cyber attack or cyber threat? Now Quentin talked about identity theft, and I'm pretty sure given your profile and your job, you deal with so many different examples. So anything you can talk about, and then maybe tell our audience about some kind of best practices there.
Sure, definitely. I could go all day talking about all the different attacks.
I am
and
sure.
Like that. So we'll keep it. We'll try to keep it to one here. Over the last year and pretty well for the last number of years, ransomware has been continuing to climb with regards to the different attacks that they're doing on organizations and the different exploits they're doing. Not only are they making the data unavailable by encrypting it, but they're also stealing it. They're basically extorting the organizations, asking them to pay not once, not twice, but multiple times overall. So with regards to ransomware, the backups are key, security awareness training, phishing assessments, because a lot of the time cyber criminals are getting in there through some type of social engineering. And when we look at the ever famous annual Verizon data breach investigation report that comes out pretty well every May, this year we saw that upwards of about 80% of the data breaches last year were as a result of some type of human engagement, mistake, whatever you want to call it, where either it was through a social engineering phishing attack or it was through somebody uploading data into a database on an S3 Amazon bucket and not having it locked down. So human error coming into it, misconfigurations, and so forth. And so with KnowBe4, sorry, shameless plug, but with the security awareness training, we're looking at not only just training people, because a lot of times when people go through and do training, they're clicking next, yeah, okay, all right, trying to get through it as quick as possible, answer the very simple question at the end, and you're nodding your head, so I'm pretty confident that you've gone through and had those as well. It's like, yep, don't want to do this today, all right, let's get through it as quick as I can.
My gosh, James, you're calling all my mistakes.
But the kicker to all this is we're wanting to educate people, but what we need to do is increase the culture. 18 years, we're going to power plants, wind turbines. Every power plant I went to, the culture at a power plant is all about health and safety. You go to a hospital, you go to a manufacturing facility. It's all about making sure that people are healthy, that they're safe, they're not getting engaged in any type of accidents that can hurt or lead to injury. And the same thing is what we're looking here for with regards to us as users, because we've all got our smartphones, we've got our smartwatches, we've got our tablets as well. We're on the internet all the time, and it's a matter of being able to get security more of top of mind to everybody, not just the IT people, not just the security people, but everybody from the mailroom to the boardroom, from the front desk to the top floor. And getting that security top of mind, making sure people are aware of it, okay, I'm not supposed to click on a link, but understand why you're not supposed to click on it, what can happen. When we go driving in a car, we don't fully understand how the car works. We just know we push the gas pedal, the car goes, we hit the brake, and, the car slows down. And for some of us out there, there's that little stick on the side of the steering wheel to tell people if you're going left or right. That's always important. Exactly. We don't have to understand how the car works, but we do have to make sure that we use it safely and we're watching out for other people and making sure they're not cutting us off. And, road rage is a whole other topic. The same thing goes with our email and goes with using apps and the computers. We don't have to know how it all works. We just have to know how to be safe with it, how to make sure that we're being protective, watching out for those weird links, making sure we're not using weak passwords, not making sure, Quentin brought up a point about having to remember all these passwords. Password managers are the way to go to be able to store those passwords, have those different non-guessable strong passwords, unique passwords that can't be guessed, have them I use a password manager. I've been using one for over 13 years. I have over 800 entries in my database that keeps track of all my accounts. I will admit I'm not perfect, but 85% of my accounts are different. There are some that still have the same old password that I've used for years, but it's important that we use those different non-guessable passwords, because cyber criminals are out there stealing databases from organizations with usernames and passwords, and they're leveraging that to gain access into other people's accounts. So it's important that we're using those strong passwords, having a password manager, and looking to make sure that we as humans are keeping security top of mind, and essentially being that human firewall.
Well, thank you for that. I agree with you. Password manager is a pain, but I guess it's a necessary pain.
And you bring up a great point. You're right. It's a pain. But if you were to go back, and I don't know if Quentin's old enough, but I know I am, and the fact that back in the 80s, you got in the car and putting on a seatbelt was like, oh, all right, fine, I'll put on a seatbelt. It was an inconvenience. Now everybody gets in a car and it's habit.
It's an automatic thing. Yeah. It's
an automatic thing, and that's what we're looking to do now. That with trying to grow a security culture, we're trying to change those. Sorry, folks, bad habits. We're trying to change them so that yes, using a password manager now becomes that motion. You're going to log into account. Okay, open up my password manager, copy the password, boom. Yes, it's an extra 5 seconds, 10 seconds worth of work, but it's going to save you 5 to 10 years worth of trouble, because your identity gets stolen, or your computer gets hacked and you lose all your pictures, or insert catastrophe there for with regards to your data. Your phone gets wiped, your computer gets wiped, and you have no backups because you reused a password. So yeah, it is a bit of an inconvenience, it is a bit of a hassle, but developing that habit, it's kind of like you can't go to the gym one day out of the year and expect to have that muscular, fit, toned body. No, bodybuilders, right? They go to the gym 3 times. People that are exercising, they're going out 3 times a week, right? It's leg day,
Yes.
back day, arm day, cardio day, cheat day. You're working at it constantly. And that's what we need to be able to do from a security culture standpoint, be able to work at it on a regular basis. Okay, I'm off my soapbox now.
I love it. Well, thank you. Thank you for giving these examples. How to say it? I relate to many examples that you use. So it's like you're just making me feel bad about many of my bad habits, as you called it. But
it's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it.
I know. Thank you for doing it. So one thing you mentioned is that how now things are changing. You showed your phone, you showed your watch, and actually our life is changing, because even in our house now we're having what's called a smart house, from us being able to connect to the lights or to your security a system through your phone, connecting to your cameras. Actually, there was an incident that I read about, I would say a couple of months ago, how someone was, a hacker, a hacker was able to hack the network of a house, and then he was watching a woman, so connected to the cameras, and was able to watch the woman for months in her house as she was taking care of her newborn, and she kept hearing noises, and she thought that she was going crazy. And then at some point she started calling her husband, who was not with her at the house, and she's like telling him that she's keeping hearing things. But this person was able to connect, and kind of, the idea of having someone watch you for months is just crazy. But that also shows kind of the threats that exist out there. So with this kind of the Internet of Things being really in our daily life, from everything that we deal with, how can we, us as individuals and organizations, should adapt to this Internet of Things and try to prevent all these attacks or threats, protect us from anything that is IoT threats and attacks? And I would go to James for this. Sorry, I did not.
Oh, okay. No problem.
Because
no problem
I was saying you, James, you talked about this. So yeah, I was directing my question to you. Yeah.
No, that's fine. That's great. Cool. Yeah, no, IoT devices. Yeah, we've seen baby cams that have been exploited because of vulnerabilities and cyber criminals getting in there. I like to say the term cyber criminals when referring to people that do bad things to organizations, to our homes, our electronic
I
devices.
agree with you. I
Hackers
was
for
trying
me.
to find the word. I'm like, hackers is not really the thing. It's
Yep.
cyber criminals. I agree
Right.
with
Yep.
that. Yeah.
One of my favorite stickers is hackers are not evil people. Hackers are people that like to take things apart, figure them out, and put them back together again. That's the definition of hacker. But anyway, IoT devices. So when we bring IoT devices in our house, and they, provide us so much more convenience. We can be able to watch our home while we're away on vacation or traveling. We can feed our pets remotely. If the food's running low, we can check on what's in our fridge. We know if the oven's been left on. I'm waiting for the IoT iron to come out, so that way it can let me know if I've left the iron on when I left home, because we know that always happens.
Sign me up for
It
that
can
one
let you
too.
know that. Yeah, there you go. It'll let you know when the washing is done. The cycle is completed. These are all great convenience and fantastic devices that allow us to have that, as we say, a smart home. One of the underlying issues with IoT devices in our homes and within organizations is the fact that they get them out to market to sell them. And what I mean by that is security, unfortunately, ends up being put in the back seat. They want to get it out to market. We're starting to see more improvement with it with some of the IoT devices, but a lot of the time they get put out on the market. If there's a vulnerability, fine, we'll fix it then, but we got to get it out there before Christmas so that it can get sold. That
Yeah.
mindset of the selling.
Yeah.
Trying to get security baked in is a problem. It's more like bolted on. So when you have your IoT devices, one of the things that, and I've done this here at my home, is I have my internet service provider router, and then I have my own personal router for Wi-Fi and so forth. And what I do with all my IoT devices is I hook them all up to that ISP device. And then all my personal computers, all my other personal devices, they are on my home router network, isolated from those IoT devices. You end up accessing them through the cloud anyway, the cloud being just somebody else's computer, but you end up going through the cloud anyway to get connected to those devices. You don't have to be on the same network for the most part. But when you have those devices, it's a good idea to make sure that they're up to date with the latest updates and software. If there's an app that the IoT device provides, make sure that's up to date as well. Change any of the default passwords that it comes with. If it's got a username and a password, change that password. Hey, even create a new username if you need to as well. Because a lot of the time cyber criminals get in because of that default password. They're going by, they figure out how to get on your home network because they can hack the Wi-Fi networks and gain access that way, get in on your devices and looking at it that way. So making sure you go through, have your different username and password for the devices, change that, make sure they're up to date, and make sure you've got them isolated on your home network. Same thing goes with the organizations as well. After visiting power plants and manufacturing facilities where they have those IoT devices, it's important that you've got strong access controls in place for accessing those devices, have them on a separate network overall, and of course, making sure that they're up to date as well. So same principles apply when it comes to IoT devices. So yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. So now let's go and delve more into how AI is changing the cybersecurity landscape. So Quentin, I'm going to turn this question to you. And if you can share, how has AI already influenced the landscape of cybersecurity, and what are some of the specific use cases where AI has proven to be effective in threat detection and prevention?
So one of the things I wanted to talk about, unfortunately, I was not given permission to bring this up, but I can kind of briefly touch on what happened.
Yep.
There's a technology that a special agent at the FBI was using to kind of, how would you say this, break up a drug bust, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And how he did this was he basically was using machine learning tools, and he created a gigantic profile against 6 individuals based on what they were talking about on social media. And based on what they were typing in, they were using kind of coded stuff, but it was linked to what they were actually doing illegally. And so he used these tools that were created by someone in the FBI. Very smart people did this, and they were able to decipher the code that these criminals were using. And now they've all been arrested and they've all been charged with basically drug crimes, you know. And
Wow.
so this is an ongoing case. This is an ongoing case. I can't get way too into the specifics of it,
Yeah,
but
I understand.
these are some of the things that these are some of the things that we're working on right now in the government space. These type of tools are going to be out there to help, um, you know, agents and other, you know, government agencies as well, and even local law enforcement, you know, and first responders, everybody, to make better decisions going forward based on, you know, what we're learning on social media about individuals, you know, what trends we're seeing, you know, can we prevent an issue from happening, you know, something like a school shooting, if you will, something that massive level. Can we prevent this based on, you know, gathering enough information and that information being, you know, proven true? You know, these are the things we're working on right now, that are currently being developed. They're in the very infinite stages, from our level, but they're definitely being worked on. They're definitely being discussed. There's a whole lot of legal things around all these, but this is what we are trying to get installed and in place right now, just to have a better understanding and how we can help. You know, if you know a criminal was released, you know, how long or can we potentially monitor their social media activity just to
Hmm.
make sure that they're on the right path, make sure that they're doing the right thing, make sure they're not going back, you know, to what they were doing that got them in trouble in the first place. Can we monitor them in that type of way, to where we're not in kind of invading their privacy, just making sure that, you know, that what they've learned and what they were taught while they were incarcerated, they went through all the courses and everything to get out and do better. They're actually implementing those things. They're doing the right thing. So those are some of the things we're working on right now. Again, it is a legal battle
Yes.
to do all this. So those are some of the hurdles we're trying to get over right now. But hopefully, eventually, you know, some of these tools will be installed, and you know, future crimes will be prevented, and you know, the world will be a better place for it. So especially with the law enforcement, because a lot of things with the law enforcement, you have to act immediately and know what you can do and cannot do
Hmm.
immediately, right?
Hmm.
So to have a tool right there that you can, you know, get it, you know, ask real quick, hey, you know, in this situation, if I pull up and X, Y, and Z is happening, what is my best option of engagement here? You know, to have that information right there, and it's, you know, legal stuff, you know, that's telling you, you know, hey, this is the law, this is what you can do, this is what you should do, you know, to help you, you know, to not be, you know, do something wrong and be in trouble, and now you're suspended from your job because you did the wrong thing because you didn't know. You know, a lot of people, the laws, it's a long list of rules and things you got to know in the law. So to understand, hey, I can just ask real quick, and I'm going to do, you know, I'm pulling up on a F-36, whatever number the investigation is. So that will link back to the database and go, hey, so when you're doing this, these are all the things that you can do. This is what you can't do, X, Y, Z. So you have all the information you need right there, you know, en route to, you know, serve that warrant, serve whatever it is you're doing. You know, as a law enforcement officer, so you know when you get there, I can do this, but I can't do that, and you know, your hands are good at that point. So these are some of the things that are being worked on right now to help our uh, first responders and everyone else out there in the field make better decisions and, you know, keep us safe.
And I guess also help them deal with these cyber attacks, help them react quickly. And it's probably with the use of AI, it's also decreasing that response time because the AI is now taken into action, collecting all that data and suggesting what should happen. Talking about
Mm-hmm.
social media and user privacy, James, I'm going to look at your expertise here. And how can AI be used to protect the sensitive data and user privacy, especially that now we're dealing with an abundance of data breaches and cyber threats?
Yeah, you bring up a really good point. When it comes to data privacy, uh, when we're posting hours and hours of content and putting it online, and it's publicly available, it's hard to very well get a strong sense of data privacy,
Hmm.
of privacy at that point. you're sharing so much information. One of the big things we talk about with regards to social engineering is that cyber criminals will go and look at profiles of people that work in organizations, executives, and leverage the information they find out that, oh, this is where they went on vacation, or oh, this is where they went, or they go to school, and those kind of things. And LinkedIn, so it's always important that we're aware of what information that we're posting online anyway. But from a data privacy standpoint, we've seen a lot of issues over the years with regards to Facebook, Cambridge Analytica, where going through and scraping information from the web, from social media, but now looking at leveraging AI and trying to use any type of AI analysis on there. Mm-hmm. When we talk about AI, there's two kinds. There's general and narrow. And what we're dealing with right now is narrow artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Artificial intelligence isn't something that showed up last November. Artificial intelligence has been around. The term's was coined back in the mid 1950s. Yes. The Dartmouth College Conference, right? So when we look at narrow AI, which is what we're dealing with now, narrow AI focuses on one type. It's got one task, one function. You had one job is the meme that's out there. So when we look at generative AI, it's working with a large language model to be able to collect text from us and then be able to generate a response in a human-like way so that we can read it and understand it. From that generative AI, you also have what we call predictive AI. And predictive AI has been around for 15 plus years already. I was using it 13 years ago or 15 years ago in an environment where we were doing analysis on gas turbines. There were patterns that it was looking for based on temperatures in a gas turbine, pressures and so forth. And if anything deviated outside of those predicted areas, then it would, send an alert back to the human operating the environment so that it could go through and, take the necessary action. An old director, friend of mine once said that, you always need the pilot in the airplane. Yeah, it can fly on autopilot and it can go through and land and take off, do all that, but you still need the pilot. And that's the same thing that applies here. We still need to have that pilot, because with data privacy, we also have the issue where people are using generative AI and uploading information.
Yes.
We had a law firm try to do it. We've had executives uploading strategies to ask ChatGPT to create a PowerPoint presentation. We've had doctors upload patient information into ChatGPT to ask it to write an insurance letter. We had Samsung upload intellectual property code regarding its latest chips or products that are coming out, and the Samsung executives, the legal team, had to get in touch with the legal team at OpenAI to go, hi, we need you to scrub that, because anything you upload into the generative AI environment essentially becomes property of it. Now they are starting to do opt-out capabilities where you can say, okay, you can't use my data for training. The new ChatGPT Enterprise, for example, where you can input your information, but it's not allowed to use it for its own training, its own models, its own responses. So data privacy is a key aspect here when it comes to AI. You have to be aware of what information is going in there, because if you're uploading anything on the internet, that can almost become fair game. So it's important that we understand from a legal standpoint, if we're uploading data from an organization, into one of these generative AI environments, what are they going to do with the data? And it's important that we go through. But the problem is nobody ever reads those end user license agreements when they come out anyway, because it's like, oh, yeah, all right, scroll down. Yep, I accept it. Good. And we don't really pay attention to it. That's why we need the lawyers. They need to be able to go through, and analyze that from us as an organization. But for us personally, when it comes to data privacy, we want to be careful what we upload, make sure it's nothing sensitive. If we're going to try to use ChatGPT or Claude or Bard or whatever to try and rewrite our resume, you're uploading all that information. Be aware of what, you can swap out some of the names if you don't want to put your personal name and personal phone number and email address or other sensitive. You could swap out different key terms, so that way when it makes reference to it in the response, well, then you can just resubstitute back out.
Change that.
But yeah,
so Quentin, given that we need to be very careful, of course, when we're using generative AI tools and when we're using AI in general. But when it comes to the cybersecurity and building a robust cybersecurity strategy, how can human expertise be effectively combined with these AI technologies?
So kind of what I work on right now, I do a lot of automation and we automate a lot of our tools, but we also need human input to, I guess, push the proverbial button, if you will. What I mean by that, let's say there's an actual threat on the system. We have our tools that let us alert us, hey, someone's trying to get in. And if it's like a minor case, it's written in the code, hey, get them off the system. But if there's like a deeper threat, or if there's multiple threats, if there's a massive attack happening, we'll be alerted by that as well. And that's all automated. It's like, hey, this is happening. It's happening on this system. This is what's affected by this. All this is spit out to us. And so we can, at that point, make a decision to where we need to, we can take down ourselves, or we need to get our security officer involved, or whoever needs to be involved at that point can take over. But it's a combination of both of us, because we're not just, as a human, we're not just sitting around looking at, the servers all day going, is everything okay in there? Is y'all good? Need some water or anything? Like, no, there's tools in place. There's a lot of, the whole onion with the layer analogy comes into place here. There's a whole lot of things that need to happen before you get into that center core of that onion, before we're ever in any trouble. And so, but all that is done through automation. But each step, there's a human element involved in that, to whether this is a big deal or not a big deal. The AI, or we can't write in code to where hey, this is a big deal or not. It's up to us to look at what the data is telling us, and then make a decision whether this is a big deal or not. And so that's one of the things I think is positive going forward, to where we can both use the tools and also still use the human element of the tool to give us the proper data and be like, okay, now we can make a informed decision, of how to handle the situation that way.
So are you saying during a cyber crisis, are we supposed to just, how to say it, use whatever suggestion is coming from the AI on any kind of a decision making related to the cyber attack?
No. So what I'm saying is the AI has given us all the details of the attack itself. So we have all the data there that is spit out to us, and at that point, the human makes the determination to
Okay,
to
so
what
it is
steps
the
to go
human,
forward with.
like, yeah, so even during the cyber
Absolutely,
attack,
it is the
we
human.
should not just, yeah, I wanted to make sure that we're understanding this
Yeah, yeah,
correctly, and that, okay.
yes.
So, James, as AI-driven cybersecurity solutions are becoming more prevalent and available, what skills and expertise will cybersecurity professionals need to have to effectively utilize these solutions and these technologies?
Yeah, when it comes to AI, because it's becoming so integrated with a lot more and more services that are coming out. I mean, every day I get 2 newsletters, and every day there's always new services coming out. When we start looking at skill sets with regards to AI, it's certainly, we're going to need people in the organization that can understand it. We're going to need, whether it's IT experts, data scientists, cybersecurity experts, we're going to have a lot more AI involved in society and with the products and with services. And so we're almost going to need AI literate people within the organization, specialists that are going to be able to go through and review products and services when they come in. Because a lot of time when we see AI, it's a black box. We just know that, again, going back to the analogy of the car, we don't know how it works. We just know we input something and we get an output. Same thing with AI. We're just inputting something and we get that response. And so it's important that we have the understanding of people in the organization that know how AI actually works, what's going on behind the patterns with regards to general AI, narrow AI, generative, all these different aspects, and being able to break it down and get a proper understanding of it. But then also with regards to our policies, with regards to privacy, if we're going to be using a third-party product that has AI built into it, is there an opt-out capability? Those are the things that we have to be thinking about when, we're utilizing those products and we're going to be inputting data. What happens to our data once we give it to you? Are you going to be then training on it? Are you then going to be leveraging it for responses going forward? So it's important that people have that understanding within the organization and then be able to utilize that to create those policies, to create the different programs within the organization. But if you're an organization that's using AI for your service to other organizations that you're providing to, then again, you're going to need to be able to have all those different options available that you would for your own organization when it comes to understanding AI, but also those opt-out capabilities, transparency, accountability, auditing, and so forth.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I'm gonna ask my last question here because I see there are so many questions coming online. So I want to give them some time to give you some time to answer these questions. But my last question to both of you is that what are some of the future trends and development that we should or we can anticipate from the intersection of AI and cybersecurity, and how can we as individuals and organizations be prepared for what is coming ahead of us?
So if Arnold Schwarzenegger walks in the front door of your organization and says, "I'll be back," yeah, run. When we look at AI, we're looking at, I've already mentioned about predictive AI. We're going to have a lot more of predictive capabilities coming in with, networking tools and access controls and other capability, the security operations center that are going to be coming in and available for experts. We may not need that level 1 technician to be able to handle a lot of the issues. Because if we look at it now, you visit a lot of websites that have a customer service, you're already doing level 1 support with a chatbot. Or you're on a phone and you're talking to a computer and they're giving you responses back. And it's not just push 1 for this, push 2 for that, and 3 for the other.
Yes.
No, you're talking to them, they're analyzing it, providing back a response, and then directing you where you need to go. We're probably going to start seeing maybe even some more decentralized AI, standalone AI products or systems that you could have that's just in your home or just within your organization, like we're starting to see with ChatGPT Enterprise, possibly more threat hunting capabilities. But on the flip side, we know the cyber criminals are out there using AI for themselves as well. For years, we've always talked about when it comes to phishing, look at the grammar, look at the spelling. If they're asking you to do something in a hurried manner, those are kind of the telltale signs when it comes to, hey, it's a phishing email. Now, with using generative AI, they can write the perfect email. They can write it in the proper grammar, the proper spelling, whether that's English, Spanish, German, French, Italian, Russian. It can generate all that and basically take away the easy one for all of us. So we're going to have to step up our game and evolve when it comes to those social engineering attacks, because the cyber criminals are already using it out there. We've seen it with Worm GPT. We've seen it with Fraud GPT. Those tools are out there and they're going to be leveraging those. So we have to make sure that we're stepping up our game as well.
Wow, thank you. How about you, Quentin? What are some of the trends that you're seeing and how can we be prepared for it?
My thing is, I am just guessing that the IoT devices are going to be a much bigger part of our lives going forward in the next couple of years. And I feel as though the manufacturers need to do a much better job educating the user once they open that device up and start up, that start screen, to let them understand, hey, keep this product updated, XYZ, don't give them that long list of like James said, no one's going to read all that crap. Just give them quick, brief summary, hey, keep your product up to date. If this product comes to end of life, we're no longer supporting it, the user needs to be known, right? So there needs to be like a big red flash on the screen, like, hey, this product is no longer, being supported by us, it's no longer safe. If you want to keep using it, watch this tutorial here, link you directly to James's website to show you how to set it up on your own private network and be safe. Something like that needs to happen to keep the user, safe going forward with all these IoT devices that we're probably going to see real soon in a lot of homes going forward.
That's cool. Well, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to start taking questions from our online audience. So the first question is, how would one go back to protect an email, or is it already too late since since is it already out there? Since it is already out there.
Sorry, read that one. Read that one again.
Yes,
I
yes,
think I
it was
misunderstood
like, so how would one go back to protect an email, or is it already too late since it's already out there?
How would you go back and protect an email? Yeah, I think once it's already out there, it's out there. Now, if you're, I'm sorry, I'm struggling trying to understand.
I
Once
think
you send
probably
out
I
an
would,
email,
I probably would go back and rephrase this differently. Is that, let's say for a certain platform they used an email, and well, they've been using that same email or one email for everything. So now, listening to you and to your example, they're saying that, well, you shouldn't use that same email, or listening to what Quentin said about the job is that maybe you shouldn't use your personal email, use a different email. So now that these habits are there, they already created those profiles. Is it too late for them to change this, or what do you suggest they do in this case?
So, yeah, it's easy to create new email addresses all the time, whether you're using Gmail, Proton, Outlook, whatever it may be. But I agree with Quentin. When it comes to doing your job searches and information that's out there, I would use a separate email address. Your personal email address, it's kind of like your phone number. If it gets compromised or stolen or something happens to it and you got to get a new phone number or a new email address, it becomes problematic. I'm a bad example because I have like 12 different email addresses because of different organizations I collaborate with. But I do have my personal email address, but then I also have several other email addresses that I use for when I'm signing up on a website and I know they're going to be marketing to me. I have a junk email address that I use to give them that. If I were to be going out and, job hunting and it's just a specific email address for that I really want to watch, I would create a specific one. Now, I know one of the things you can do with Gmail is if you have your email address, johnsmith@gmail.com, let's say, for example, I do believe that you can put something in front of the John Smith. So it could be jobsearch-johnsmith@gmail.com. I believe that's how it works, and it will come to your actual email address. But personally, for me, I believe it does an alias with it. But honestly, when it comes to doing your job search, yes, I would definitely use a different email address because in that way you're monitoring for that. And then also you have the ability, if you want, there are services out there and you get them on your smartphone where you can have alias phone numbers set up. I use a service where I have 3 different phone numbers that I use alias-wise that, again, if I'm signing up for these websites and I know it's a site that's going to sell my information, I'll use one of my pseudo numbers and I use that to put in there rather than my personal number, just to kind of protect my information. But at this point, if you've already been putting it out there, then fine. But it doesn't mean that you can't switch over and use a different email. There's the long answer for you. Sorry.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm going to take the next question. So it says, if 80% of protection is the result of social engineering, what do you believe the impact of implementing MFA would be? I expect reduction, but by how much?
Good question. What that reduction will be? Probably, I would say, about 73.5%, and I'm making that number up. Utilizing MFA is a good step. When you've got your 80%, it's 80% of the data breaches were a result of human error. 35% of that was a result of social engineering. The other stuff is the other aspects. Utilizing MFA on your accounts is key. But it's not a silver bullet. Everything in cybersecurity, there is no silver bullet. You need a machine gun of silver bullets to continue to be able to reduce that risk. MFA is a good step forward. It's not the be all end all. It's not, hey, we configured and installed MFA. Woohoo, we're secure. We can't get hacked. No, you still can get hacked. It just reduces that risk. I said at the beginning, cybersecurity is all about reducing risk. That's just adding another bullet in the gun to help reduce that risk overall and keep you secure. But definitely, be doing MFA, especially on the perimeter and any of your critical assets that you have within your organization.
Thank you. So this is a fun question. Is it possible that an AI can be hacked, or I would say attacked by another AI, not just by humans hacking another human or AI?
Have we not seen the Terminator movies? Have we not watched Star Trek with Data?
Exactly.
You and
You know,
and you referenced it too. That's what's funny.
Exactly.
yeah. It's probably already happening, but it depends on how you're defining attacking. Right now, AI, unless you've got an AI product that's working into trying to infiltrate inside of an organization, a lot of that could be automation.
Yeah.
Part of AI, automation is being a part of AI. So you could have one automated function doing something to a server while you've got another automated function trying to protect it. So, automatic updates and Defender running on Microsoft, the two of them could go head to head. It is possible. If we're thinking more of the Terminator aspect, that's a different thing altogether. But it's possible, and probably has been happening in some small cases.
Okay, next question. Because AI deals with data collection and uses percentages to determine the validity of information, how does it account for the outliers?
A lot of that's going to come from its own internal confidence factors, and when it's going through, that's why a lot of the times we see these AI hallucinations. It's going through and it's not, the patterns and everything that it's going through and creating, it creates this false information so that it can be used to be able to answer that question. So, it's going to fill in the gaps, and it's going to have its own confidence capabilities based on its own patterns and what it's been trained on. It's entirely possible that that percentage is going to vary, but it'll just depend on how confident it is with the response, and then fill in the gaps.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. When it comes to data science and AI, it's really trying to find the patterns and then using those patterns to predict what's going to happen later on. So it's learning and it's predicting what's going to happen later on. So when it comes to outliers, I'm not. They are being used in the collection. So maybe it will be there is some kind of a data cleaning and data correction there. But it may actually, as you said, this is maybe where we have the hallucination, the AI hallucination. Okay, next question. I think I'm going to take this one and one last one. So is using AI in cybersecurity just speeding up what a cybersecurity engineer does? Is detection and threat hunting good, or should there be another layer of control? Quentin, I'm going to give that to you.
That's a great question. Is AI
is using AI in cybersecurity just speeding up what a cybersecurity engineer does? So that's the first question, the first part of the question. So basically, what he's saying is AI taking the job of a cybersecurity engineer and making it faster. And then the second thing is detection and threat hunting good, or should there be another layer of control?
On the last part, I mean, you want as many layers you can afford. It's always the way to look at that. The first thing is AI taking this? No, it's not. And again, because the thing is, we work hand in hand together, right? As I mentioned earlier. So, we want the automated part of it. We want, all the data to be collected, and we're given results of, to make a better decision, right? And then once we have all information, we can make that decision as the human element, whatever is right or wrong with that. That's one of the reasons why right now we are in the battle of, can we implement some of these tools to the agents, and what's the legal ramifications of this based on using it, because it's AI. It's not us as a human giving that result to a judge and the jury. Like how they're gonna react to that, right? So that's kind of the part of it that we still have to figure out. So no, it's not going to take over the job, specifically what I do. I don't know about the entire process of it, but for what I do, no, we want to work hand in hand. We want to have all the information possible, and then we want to be given a small, thing of like, okay, what is all this telling us to do? And then from, these couple of things it's given us to do, what is the best decision of those for what we have currently going on in the real world, right? From the human element of it. So no, I don't think it's going to take over the job. It does speed up the process of us making a better decision though. That's the thing, because there's a lot of data that will come in, right? There's a ton of data we got to sort through, and we support, and it's much easier for us to look for key values in that, and try to figure out a pattern and try to figure out whatever the case may be to make that better decision. That's where AI can definitely help us speed up the process to going through and siphoning through all this red tape and stuff we don't need to go through or whatever. So again, that's why I said we work hand in hand together. That's where we are right now currently. And again, that last part, you want as many layers and as much as you can afford, when it comes to, keeping your stuff secured. So is the detection and threat hunting good, or should there be another layer? You want everything. You want it all. And that's what we tell, in the security room. It's funny, we have these meetings, then we talk security sometimes, at least once a month. And we go over the numbers and the cost of everything we currently have. And again, I've used the onion layer thing earlier. There's so much right now that we currently have. But even at the base layer, of any AWS EC2 instance setup, you already have controls in there already that will alert you, if your instance is going over, the threshold, and it's going to cost you money. You can set it up, just by 2 clicks of a button. You don't need a security degree to do stuff like that, right? That's just basic layer stuff right there that you already kind of have built in. Once you blow that out into, a much larger, you set up all your ACLs and, all the firewall rules and all that stuff right there. That's just adding on more layers to the already expanding protection you already have. So as much as you can afford and throw in there, throw it in there. That's what I say. There's never enough security to go around, in my opinion.
I agree with that. There's not enough security. James, I'm going to give you one last question. Can you explain the role of machine learning and AI-powered cybersecurity and how it contributes to creating an adaptive defense mechanism?
No, can't do that. Sorry. No, when we're looking, we're already seeing AI and machine learning already within cybersecurity. We're seeing it within a lot of the places are inside the SOC, Security Operations Center. We're seeing the tools and capabilities to be able to go through and work with incident response, handling that first layer with regards to, either some automation to going through and collecting data and running it through some sort of processing, AI to go through, the machine learning to go through and analyze the logs to identify key items based off of predictive analysis and looking it through it that way. So yeah, you still need that human element in there because as we've seen with, biases and hallucinations, you need to be able to go through and verify, the information that you're seeing. But your machine learning, that predictive analysis is going to go through and be able to analyze your data a lot quicker and be able to either get to a root cause and start isolating and dealing with whatever incident that you have within the SOC.
Well, thank you. Well, we are at the end. Actually, we're past 4 already, past our time. I really, really, really appreciate your time, Jace and Quentin, today. I am grateful for you for sharing your expertise with us. James, specifically you made me feel so bad today about all my old habits, but. But I guess now I have some homework to do. Now I need to go back and try to protect myself everywhere. But yeah, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your answers and sharing your expertise. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you have more questions, feel free to post your questions online and we'll get you answers from our panelists today. This is Dr. Haifa Maamar from Full Sail University. Have a great day.